We're just going to ask again for Reiki to support us for the highest good here. So, whatever needs you might have, or anything that you're desiring to ask for support in, let's ask for it here now. Thinking about our intention for this course, what is it that we came here for? Putting that energy towards that intention. Let me create a sacred space here for healing for Christy, for Katie and Tyja and myself. We ask for healing, we ask for restoring, we ask for grace, for vitality, for energy, whatever it is that we need today. We ask for God, source of divine, to channel this beautiful life force energy here, to meet us here where we are, to open up our hearts to receive. And just take a moment to receive here. Let's open up and let go, try to quiet the mind. I'm just going to send Reiki here for all of us here for a few minutes here. So just open up and let go and try to just relax. Just imagine at the very crown of your head a beautiful white light. Traveling all the way down your face, all the way down your shoulders, down your chest, down your belly, down to your hips, down your legs, and down your feet. And as we're here, just connecting with our breath, feeling into the beautiful energy here. Can we just be here in this moment? Can we just let go? Our worries, our fears, our doubts, anything that's really holding us back. And just open up to love, abundance, guidance, or maybe it's just to be here. Just take a moment to just receive here for a few minutes. Bringing some movement back to the body here. You're wiggling those toes or wiggling those feet. Just taking a nice big inhale. And exhale. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. How do you ladies feel?
Hi, I feel good. I felt like I've been experiencing some blocking kind of at that third eye region and just felt a little bit of like softening there and realizing like becoming aware that I had some blocked energy, because sometimes we're just not even aware of like what's going on in ourselves. And started to just see a lot of different things, a lot of imagery coming through. It just felt so peaceful and engaged in just this quiet moment that I didn't want the music to stop. And I just wanted to just stay here and like enjoy that.
Mhm.
So it was very beautiful.
Oh, that's good. I'm so happy. That's great. I was feeling that too. I was like, I think we're gonna need to do like a Reiki session before like we end. We'll do like a 30-minute one or something like that. But I'm so glad you had that like clarity came through and so beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then just a reminder to operate from the heart that came through yesterday,
Mm.
too. And so it's just this very like powerful recognition and remembrance of like our true selves and our true nature, like when we're with the heart, how different it feels than when we're with the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, because I've been here a little too much
Oh,
and
I
coming
hear
back
you.
down.
I hear
So
you
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
How do you feel, Christy?
For me, it was just a release. Tears like came down my face and just a lot of emotion this week.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
just letting go of expectations from other people on me and just forgiving myself. Just, I don't know. It's like heavy this week. Like everything is like the energy is so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids gave me my students gave me the stomach flu. So I was kind of down
Oh.
and I'm on my period. So it's like, I'm like,
Me too.
Floodgates.
overwhelming,
Floodgates.
overwhelming. Like everything is super, super hypersensitive.
Mm.
Mhm.
And I'm just like so hard on myself
Mm,
and just letting go of all that. I just put a lot of pressure on myself.
mm,
Like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And then just, you know, I self-sabotage myself from doing what I truly want to do.
mm,
Just, and I'm in this mindset that, which is not just what I tell, like, my life is just survival. Like, I just survive every day. And just finding the peace in the suffering is not enough. I want to wake up, like, and be joyful and happy and proud and just purposeful. And, you know, I don't want to be alone. I want to be accepted for who I am.
mm,
And it seems like I just, I don't know, maybe I'm traveling this lifetime and that's just the way it's going to be. But, I can't be honest with my partner about everything about my life, my yoga side of my life that drives my spiritual side. And I can't, from fears and stuff, just be open and honest and yeah, I meditate and I do energy work and I I chant, not to be like scrutinized, like, well, what about the Bible? What about the Bible? All that stuff. It just like constantly is working on my head. So just trying to be free of all that crap.
Well, it's good that you're releasing all this. Like, it's all energy, right? So we don't want to hold all that emotion inside, right? So you being open and vulnerable and sharing, like that's beautiful. And we see you because I know I've been there and I know it's heavy. It feels like a lot, um, to be your authentic self, but as you start to rewrite your beliefs and what is your truth, and really stand in that power, right? You get to release all those things. You get to really remember that your worth is not based on all these external things, right? Because
Yeah.
you think about it that way, right? If you were to shift the perspective of looking externally, what's going on in here, right? So, what if we could come in here and notice, like, yes, I see all these things going on in my life, right? And I feel frustrated. I feel not seen. I feel like this is just hard. It just feels hard, right? What if I'm going to challenge you this week as we continue this program, take that time to hold yourself in this energy, in this body, right? Because it's like you're pushing through a new threshold of like, really, like you're shedding this old self, right? This old identity of like the expectations of meeting other people's needs, being someone that you're not, right? It's like you have to camouflage to be someone that, you're in your core, it's not authentic, doesn't feel authentic to you, right? So how can you hold yourself? We're going to do inner child work today, so this actually works really well. Is how can we connect with that little girl, right? And hold her and say, you're enough. You are enough, right? So you don't need, like, we're going to meet with her. So whatever message she needs to tell you, right? How can we hold ourselves in those moments throughout our day, throughout our week, right? I still do it with myself. Like I still have to meet with my little girl. I met with her this morning. She was like playing in this one spot. So let's dive into it a little bit, is inner child work. And we meet with it's like the story that we're telling ourselves, right? I met with her and she's always playing. Like today she was actually playing with like her little play set. And I said to her, I was like, oh, what are you playing? She lets me play with her. So I just sat there and I played with her. And she goes, they're not listening to me. And I'm like, what do you mean they're not listening to me? And she's like, they're not listening to me. And I'm like, okay, but I'm listening to you. Right. So it's like, that's a story that I've told myself that nobody listens to me. Right. So there's a story that your little girl, that we can meet with her and talk with her and hold her and just nurture her, right? Like, what does she need? What do you need? Right. It's like a reflection of you. Right. So when we have these ups and downs, we have to learn how to hold ourselves, the energies, right? And really stand in that, because it doesn't make you weak or strong or less weak or less powerful. You're still powerful, Christy. You're still that woman that is strong. She's confident. She knows who she is, right? It's just you standing in that. It's like like the wind is coming and it's blowing, and you're just like, you're trying to stand in that, right? So you have to allow yourself to say, I know who I am. This is who I am, right? Standing in that truth. This is your truth. This is who I am, right? So I want to see you still tapping on that, tapping on when you feel these emotions. Even though I feel so stressed out and overwhelmed, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I don't feel good, why do I feel frustrated? I don't want to feel this way anymore. Even though I'm tired of this, like feel it and let it come through. And then we're going to flip that story. I allow myself to love myself. I allow myself to honor my path and my journey. Like tapping on that new state, that new energy, that new vibration, calling it in. This is who I am. I release the old, right? Let it go, shed it through, right? And you're going to feel that shift. Like you have to, it's not like a one-day thing, right? We have to rewrite the story. We have to reprogram those beliefs, those stories. I just like went on a rampage. But I see you, and I just want you to know you're not alone. We see you, right, Katie?
Yes, absolutely. And all the things you listed that you love are all the things I also love, you know, yoga and meditation, mantra, chanting, all of that. And so it is difficult to feel accepted when maybe people don't understand or they looking from the outside. And I have just made it my part of my path to find other women who share these same passions with me. So it's something we can just talk about without any guard, just so openly. And it's what we do for work, but it's also what we do for ourselves. And so I think that that helps is like having those people in your corner that do see you, that do see that work as inner work that you've discovered for yourself that now you want to bring to others because you see how it has helped you along the way. And I think that's at the heart of maybe what you're experiencing is like, like this path feels right to me. This path is my path of healing. And maybe other people don't fully understand that, but you do. And so I definitely felt very connected to what you were sharing and just absolutely admire you and your vulnerability, but also your strength, like Jessica said, because it'd be easy to just fall into, other people's ideas for you. It's harder to stand solid in what you know is right for you and not be affected by it. So, right?
And I feel like this, go ahead, Christy.
I was just gonna say thank you. And most everybody accepts me for who I am. It's just the partner that I'm with doesn't. I have to play two roles because of it. And it just started a long time ago. It's been like 15 years, on and off and on and off and on and off. So that's the main thing. So just getting brave enough to, and even being scared doing it, just say, this is who I am. And I'm not going to change. I'm not going to worship like you want me to worship. I do this. I mean, because it's not going to work. Otherwise, it's going to be staying the same way, breaking up every other weekend or whatever. Him blaming me be with other men when I just want to be by myself. And him thinking I'm him and his insecurities or whatever. It's just like, it's not worth the little tiny good times to do that over and over again, because I'm going to get sick.
Yeah, well, you need to take care of you.
I mean,
that's
I don't know if he'll ever understand. I mean, I don't know if he'll let me go or if he'll understand or he'll accept me for who I am. And I just have to take that risk and just say, this is what I do. And this is without him thinking like just the way he thinks.
Mm.
And then just part our ways, or, I don't know, just sometimes. I don't know. It's just like once in a while we'll hang out and that's good enough for me. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, what if you like release that outcome, of how it could happen and just surrender to it and say, like, God, my heart, like, what I'm going through, what I desire and what I'm worth, right? So I release the outcome of this, but I will stand in my truth, and regardless of what happens, right? So, the ideal situation would be what? Would you want him to stay with you? Or would you be okay? Like either way. right? So knowing like either way, you'd be supported. So could you lean into that faith of knowing that you're taken care of regardless, right? You know, and knowing that, again, like the external situation doesn't seem ideal for what you want to happen typically, right? But knowing that to sacrifice your truth and who you are and abandoning who you are, you know, is hard. You know, that can be hard. So I feel like this goes really well into kind of what we're talking into today. We're going to dive more, and I want you to journal on that too, Christy, like, you know, releasing the outcome of that situation, you know, what would that look like? What would that feel like? How would you, you know, what's the worst case scenario? Like what could happen, you know? But really thinking about, you know, protecting yourself here. What would be the best case scenario here? How would you feel if you were supported here? So we're going to dive into spiritual gifts and taking up space. I feel like this kind of goes into what we're talking about. And I'm just going to share a little bit of my backstory here with this. And I feel like this is something that's so talked about, and there's so many different beliefs around spiritual gifts. And I'm just up from my experience, like this is what's kind of came up for me, but it's evolved a lot. When I was actively going to church, I remember always learning about the gifts of the Spirit. But it wasn't until I experienced them that I really understood what they were. And I had some really beautiful, I mean, reflecting now back, I did have some really beautiful encounters with what they call the Holy Spirit in church. And, but as I grew older and I started to part my ways with the church, I became a spirit junkie. I started working with Gabby Bernstein. And at the time, you know, I was kind of already parted from the church. I was already kind of doing my own thing. I just wasn't aligning with a lot of what was going on in the, you know, in the church. But I still had this beautiful relationship, like knowing that God was a huge part of my life and that the way that it was before may not look like how it was today. So I started to rewrite and redefine what spirit was for me. And Gabby, she taught me, you know, like, because I remember the first time I was in the meeting with the people in the group for the course, she had did this really beautiful meditation to start the whole event. And as soon as the music played, it was like a Kundalini kind of song, just really beautiful, like a worship kind of song. And I started to cry like as soon as I heard the song, because for a real long time I felt a little bit disconnected with God, just because I felt like I wasn't living my life a certain way like I was supposed to, you know, and I felt shame and fear for being different and for living my life a different way. But then I started to realize that my definition of Holy Spirit, of God, source, the divine might look different, but doesn't mean that my connection is any different than anyone else's, right? It's still mine. It's still sacred. It's still holy, right? So I had to really take off a lot of the layers of me feeling shame for doing things differently. You know, going into Reiki, that was a lot. That was hard for me in the beginning. Actually, at the time, it wasn't hard because I was already open and receptive to learning new things, new modalities. But I still definitely had some deep rooted subconscious fears around energy work, around, you know, being called doing devil's work. You know, it was like there was a lot of, you know, this feeling of being judged for who I was, right? So I started to go deeper and like really kind of connecting into what my truth was, right? And even though it didn't look like what other people's truth was, this is my truth, right? So I started to open up to spirituality, to Reiki, giving myself permission to learn new ideas, mythologies around God and the Bible. And I do believe that we all have unique gifts and abilities, but why are we so scared to share them? Why are we so afraid to be in that energy, that light, right? So we're going to do an inner child work exercise around what comes up for us here around being our authentic self, being in our gifts, in our power, and really allowing ourselves to lead, because this is really important, especially as spiritual teachers and leaders. If we're holding back, in a sense, what we're doing is we're holding an energy of shame and an energy of fear. And that's actually going to keep us from manifesting our desires. It's going to keep us from really being in our full authenticity. And that's actually one of the higher vibrations. So there's different scales of energies and the vibrations that we carry in the body. And we also emanate that energy, right? So if we're emanating the fear, right? People sense that fear. If we're emanating like being burnt out, it's like people can sense that, right? So it's like, where are we holding on to different energies that are keeping us from being in our spiritual gifts, using the powers and the abilities that we have to really make an impact in the collective consciousness, right? Where is it that we're holding on to things that are keeping us from our truth? And I've had to ask myself this question a lot. And even, every day, this weekend, as I was doing the journal prompts to share with you ladies, these are things that come up for me too a lot. And I'm going to just share with you real quick before we do our meditation, is I made this chart on our clairs. Let's see here. Yeah, I feel like we'll do the inner child in a moment, but I want to show you. See, here it is. Okay. So we have these are just some really fun little prompts that we can use to look at what our clair is. We kind of tapped into this in the earlier module, but this one goes a little bit deeper. It talks about the 6 different clairs that we might have: seeing, hearing, knowing, feeling, tasting, smelling. And then I put some journal prompts here. We're going to take a few minutes to journal on this. It says, we've all been blessed with unique gifts and abilities. When we can identify our strengths and gifts, we can use those gifts to make an impact in the collective consciousness. We can also become experts in our gifts when we give ourselves permission to learn, practice, and evolve in them. So one of the journal prompts is, where do you struggle with taking up space, shining your authentic light or self, and why? So we're going to journal on this after we do our inner child work, because, I do feel a lot of this stems from some deep-rooted fears that we have of, either not being seen, heard, loved, being enough. We all have our own stories and experiences that really framed us. It's a paradigm that we have in our minds, and we live by that paradigm. So we get to be aware of, bring it to the conscious, moment, what those fears are, so that we can start to notice them with gentle awareness, not judging them, but just holding ourselves and saying, I see you. And I know that's hard to feel that way, but then also allowing ourselves to remember we can shine, we can be strong, we can really use our gifts and the struggles that we've been through to really help other people. Because I feel like those are our spiritual gifts, right? The things, the lessons that we've gone through, the experiences that we've been through, those are part of the gift. Those are part of the stories that are going to help other people, right? So, when I've created a lot of my programs, or the things that I'm doing, like this program was really channel through because of my experience, right? Me moving through, knowing that other women also experiences, right? So knowing that I'm not alone, right? So let's take a moment to meet with our little girl, just connect with her and see what, what she wants to share with us. Before we start, does anybody want to share anything or anything that's coming up?
I like what you said about the way our experience kind of lead us to being able to enhance our gifts because I do really believe that what we get brought through, there's a reason, and that's just kind of our personal evolution, maybe. But um, then the outcome of that is this awareness or understanding, and maybe compassion toward others that are experiencing that. And so there have been plenty of moments where I'm like, why am I going through this? And then a few years later, I encounter someone who's going through the same. And you just end up like, okay, well, maybe I was supposed to walk that path so that I can hold your hand now that you're walking it or something like that. So
Mm,
I
yeah.
like that. I write so much down with you guys. I just write, I'm like, oh, I got to remember that. And I reflect later. So I appreciate all the sharing.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Katie, I agree with you too as well, what comes up in our experience. And I mean, I don't want to take away my experience. I just want to work through them a little bit easier and leave them behind and not have them creep back. But I do get a lot of in my colon therapy and then my yoga therapy, people that come to me have gone through the same thing. Like I see myself in them and I'm like, oh my gosh, Chrissy, what does she need at this point? Because you've been there, you can help her work through this. And it's like a mirror. It's almost like there to help you with your stuff too. It's crazy. Because
Mhm.
Jessica, like you probably see you and me, like, but maybe a little bit ago, you've gotten past some stuff. So it's like, it's a beautiful thing to help each other and have this space. So I'm just very grateful.
Mm, yes. So glad. Thank you, Christy. All right, ladies. So we're gonna meditate. So just have your journal with you or a piece of paper because we're gonna journal right after we're done. So I'm curious, how many of you, if Christy, have you done inner child work? No? Okay.
A
Uh,
little bit.
a little bit. Katie, have you? Yeah. Okay. So we'll just take a moment just to connect in here. We'll just take a nice deep breath in and a deep breath out. Deep breath in and a deep breath out. Just breathing into any tense areas in the body. Using your breath to just clear any stress, any thoughts here. We're just going to take a moment to really feel into the seat where you're sitting at. Really safe here and supported and held. Just taking a moment to imagine your little girl maybe in a safe space. Where is she that she might feel really connected into being where she could be herself. And maybe it's a familiar place that maybe in your childhood or maybe somewhere new or somewhere different. Let's take a moment to just visualize her there. Maybe not even just go up to her yet, but just kind of acknowledging and watching her. Just noticing her energy and how she's feeling and maybe her body language. And as you start to step a little closer towards her, you can see her facial expressions, maybe who she's with, or she's playing with something. Maybe just asking her if it's okay for you to connect with her now. And just give you some space to kind of build some rapport with her and develop a deeper relationship with her. And if she doesn't want to connect and she wants some space, maybe kind of just observing and just waiting until she feels ready to connect with you. Just taking a few moments to create a dialogue with her and check in with her. And if you're just observing, maybe just noticing anything. And as you're here with her, just asking her maybe how she feels, what she needs. And is she really being her authentic self here? What is it that maybe she is, if she is being her authentic self, what is she doing? Maybe she wants to share something with you, or if she's not, what could be bothering her? Allow her to share with you words. And if you were to ask her, what is it that you need to know today to help you really embody this authentic gift that you have within you to allow yourself to move forward in this journey where you are today? Maybe just giving her some love, and speaking some words of affirmation to her. Just taking a moment to thank her for spending time with you. And if there's anything else that she wants to say before you leave, or if there's anything you want to tell her, go ahead and tell her now. And just let her know that you'll be back to develop more of a relationship with her. Take a nice big inhale and exhale. Nice big inhale and exhale. Just start walking back towards the light, maybe towards where we are. And then opening your eyes when you're ready. We'll just take a few minutes to journal, and I will put some music on. Just write down what, whatever came through, what was the conversation, what did she say to you? She want you to know. I just about another minute. Mm. All right, ladies. Do we need another couple minutes or how do we feel? Good? Okay. So if you ladies want to share what came up for you after the meditation or during the meditation.
Gosh, I couldn't hold back my tears. I wasn't trying to, but uh, I've done a lot of inner child work because it's a huge part of my healing process. And this practice just was very powerful. When I asked her, when I first saw my little self, I was playing at my grandma's house. Just with my grandma was like the best person and always felt safe and loved with her. And I was like three or four, just little girl. I was playing with choo-choo trains and toy blocks at Christmas time, and I have a memory of that, I feel. And my inner child immediately, she's just like so happy to see me. Like, where have you been? And she came and I played with her. She sat in my lap. She wanted me to like cuddle. So I just held her. And then when I asked what did she need from me, she said she wanted me to come out and play more, to play with her more, to bring her out more. And she said I got a vision of us holding hands, like walking together. And she told me she wants to play with my kids. So my inner child to come out more with my children, which I am very playful and fun with them. I love my little baby. He's so sweet. We have so much fun. But it's also work being a mom. And so I don't think of it as play when I really can think of it as play. So I think that was a big message. And I asked, what was she afraid of? And this really hit me, the bad man or the bad men. And I did have a lot of trauma when I was a little girl that I only have discovered more recently because of putting pieces together. So there's something there. She didn't want me to leave her alone. And so I told her that I would come back for her all the time. So it's a lot. I think big part of my journey has been inner child healing, and it's something that you think you've done so much work on, or and you can like, oh, I'll set this aside or something, and I realize how much more that little girl really needs. And not to be afraid of letting those fears and those needs come out, you know what I mean? So really going to reflect on that and really take that into consideration, because I know that what I experienced when I was young has led to so many other things as an adult even. And although I know I've done a lot of work on myself, there's still those parts that need a little more attention and healing. And so I love my inner child. I love that little girl. I really, really do. But I don't want her to be afraid. And I don't want her to be like pushed aside because all these other things come first or something. So that was beautiful. And I needed that.
Oh
And
my
thank
God.
you. I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
I know it's a lot. My story's kind of heavy, so sometimes I don't share, but I think in the sharing is where the healing can happen too.
absolutely. No, I'm just so happy that you were able to have that release,
Yeah.
and have that connection and bring it to your awareness, and
Mhm.
I see you so much, and knowing that like you feel like you've done the work, and then you're just like, when you come there again, you're like, oh my gosh, there's more, right? So it's like
Yeah.
having that compassion with yourself, that grace, and knowing that it's okay to come back. Because like when we start to evolve and shift and go into, this is what I found in my journey, is that when we go to different levels, or when we're in different energetic states, we find a new threshold, right? So
Yeah.
it's like there's something else. There's another thing that comes up, right? It's like we're aware of this thing again, or it's like, okay, now I need to revisit it and see what's coming up here. And I think that's important for us to, like, I love how you shared that you don't want her to be scared. You don't want her to feel like alone. And um, we our subconscious job is to preserve us, to
Mhm.
protect us, right? So there's a reason why we don't know all these things right away. We don't know the traumas that you've experienced, right? So they're keeping you safe, right?
Yeah.
But yet it's like when we're doing that work, it's like little pieces of it come through, right? So it's like, okay, I can handle this, like the trigger that comes through. It's like, okay, what do I need to work through? Right.
Yeah.
So I love that you're honoring your journey, and just meeting with her and nurturing her, and it's so beautiful. And I just want to commend you for doing the work. It's not easy, and
Mhm.
I'm so proud of you. And I don't mean to sound condescending or anything. I just
No, no.
like proud of you for doing that work, because it's a lot sometimes. And but there's such beauty in knowing that you're connecting with her and knowing she's safe, that that everything's okay. So I love that. So thank you for
Thank you.
sharing.
I feel lighter and I feel like an like a unlayering. I do. I feel lighter and I appreciate that. So
Of course.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
I see you and I feel you. It's a heavy day. Maybe there's a reason there were just a couple of us in the class. It would
More
take a
time to
long time to
share.
get through a lot of people's stuff, and maybe we wouldn't be so willing to share. I don't know. But I was trying to go back, and I went back to like where I used to live in like third grade. We moved there, but then I was like, oh no, I need to go back further. So I went back to when I lived in this house in Diamond Bar, and my parents were newly divorced, I think, around. We moved from Missouri when I was 4 to California. And then my parents had lots of problems, and they had problems before that. And then they got a divorce. So during that time was super just really lonely time for me. And my sister is like, I have a sister 5 years older than me and then 9 years older than me. So I was like, they had a baby, they were doing their thing and I was always alone. So, but I met my little girl in the room, my little blue room, and the house that we lived in was just like, it just had a couch, like a plaid couch. It didn't have a lot of decorations. It was my mom was very depressed at that time. Um, I just was always alone. Like, so I was in my room and I had, stuff all over the place. And I just came in and asked if I can come in. And we went into the room. I went into the room and she showed me her little stuffed animal named Henry. You know that dog that's named Henry, the stuffed animal dog? I don't know, you guys are too young. There was a yellow dog with black ears, and his name was Henry. He had a label on it. And I showed her the dog, and I had this toy box, and I just asked her if I can help clean the room. And I said, is there anything you need? And she said, just, she needs a friend and she doesn't want to be alone. So I just kind of helped clean up a little bit, kind of watched and showed her, like, she was telling me about all the toys and stuff, just what kids do, goofing around. And then I said, can I come back? And I left. There's just a lot of pain there and loneliness. It just, how mean my dad was. So on the other side, I used to go to my dad's house every other weekend, but I love my dad, but he was so mean to my mom. But when I was little, a little girl looks up to her daddy and you justify the wrong behavior when you're little because you love your dad so much. And I just grew up like trying to undo all those things that I accepted like a man should be. And he's still doing it to this day. He's still putting the head trip on me and my sisters and all that. But anyways, my mom was not present. My dad was an asshole and narcissist, total narcissist. And the little girl was just surviving, which I mean, I think I did a pretty good job, but there's a lot of work that, you just ignore stuff. You just go forward and just, you get your survival skills, I mean, you did the NLP training. I did the Landmark Forum for years, and that helped me a little bit, but still, there's still a lot of work, a lot of karma. And I just don't want to be like them. I want to give my kids what they need from me as a parent, and I want to be present for them. And I'm divorced too, so that's like, on top of that, going through all those emotions and why that happened. So it's a lot. You're muted.
So when you're meeting with that little girl, creating that relationship with her, to know she's safe, she's supported, she's loved, like when you're having those moments where maybe you're feeling that, like, what's going on, what's wrong, like, why am I upset today? Can you find that space, right, to maybe connect in what's going on internally with her, right? So finding that connection, that relationship, and then finding joy, in those moments too. It's like, where can you find joy, bring joy to these moments where maybe she felt alone and maybe she didn't have the joy. Maybe she didn't feel that attention. Let's create that together. Let's make some fun. Let's get crazy. Let's jump on the bed together. You know, Finding those moments where you can bring more pleasure and more play into your day with her, right?
Well, what's funny is I was always really bubbly as a child because I was kind of overcompensating for my mom's lack of, with her scowl, with the line between her, even like at a grocery store, she would people would talk to her and she'd be in a zone. And I would be like talking to the people. So to feel embarrassed, because I was like, my mom didn't even respond because she was so like into her whatever. And I overcompensated for that. So it's like I was the parent in my parent relationship with my mom and my dad. So, and it has never changed. I was the dad and the mom in my relationship with my husband. And it's just like, I don't want to be all that. I want to just be me. I want to release all that stuff because
Mm,
they're not my roles.
yeah. So stepping into this new identity too is going to be really powerful for you, because you're no longer holding on to what you think other people like, holding on to everyone else's energy, right? So also like with your journaling, this is something you can really journal on is this identity of Christy. It's like, who is she today, right? And it's hard, like, because we have so much deep-rooted ancestral like genes, like it is in our genes, like all the way down, so 14 generations of stuff that we carry. So there's some really powerful NLP techniques. I don't know if you've ever done them, Christy, where we go onto your timeline. Have you done that before? No. Maybe it's something to consider if it's something you want to really go into deeper. I did it with Taija. We
Yeah.
did a technique together where she wanted to release an emotion, and we were able to go on her timeline. So it's kind of one of those things that it's a different type of like technique, like you're in the mind, you're really kind of going into the subconscious mind to access those deep-rooted like emotions and memories.
Like going
But you
back, where you created the motion and
yeah,
then putting
so
things there.
what
Because
you
that
do is
meaning that you tagged to it didn't mean that. You
say it
do a new
again.
meaning. The meaning of the root cause of, if you can find where the root, where you decided that in your life, when you
Mhm.
go down the timeline, then you realize that that didn't mean that because you tagged a meaning to it and then you make a new meaning to it and you put another emotion there.
Yes.
Yes. I've, yeah. But it's nice to not do it by yourself. It's nice to have that guidance.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because especially if stuff comes up, I mean, usually you don't go through the experience, like you're not actually reliving it. You're just above your timeline, way above your timeline. And you're like looking at it from a bird's eye perspective. But there's usually some type of learning, right? There's a learning that we can identify from that experience all the way through to this day. So it's like, what is it that I need to learn from this experience so that I can release it and then I can move forward from that story. So, but anyway, I want to just say thank you for being so open, for sharing, being vulnerable. And, it's a lot to let go of like our parents' situations, and I did it myself too. I had a lot of like stuff with my parents that I've been through, and it's hard, especially because I know for me, I'm very much a people pleaser, and I wanted to like please my dad and make them happy and just, want them to love me. And when I do things differently than how they do it, I always felt shame. I felt like a bad daughter. And, it's coming to a place of acceptance and loving who I am. Even to today, sometimes I don't share with them all the things because I know they don't understand. And I can't expect them to, and that's okay. And I have to just honor their path, honor like I've learned and I've become the person I am because of them, and I'm grateful for it. I wouldn't be the person I am today. Like I have so many beautiful things I got from them, but there's so many things that I don't agree with, so it's a dance. It's like of us journeying through all the emotions, the stories, the beliefs. Um, but I want to just bring to light also is that when we're doing this work, that it's really important for us to, um, we're moving it through the body, right? We want to alchemize it, move it through the body, so that we don't stick it and hold it and carry it with us, right? So this is why we do the shaking. This is why we do the movement. This is why we do the yoga. This is why we, have the Reiki practices, right? So we can move the energy, move these beliefs through the body somatically, right? Moving the emotion through the body so that we can release and let it go, and then we could stand in our power, right? So
And if I'm a Pitta Kapha, which is mostly water. So I just learned that if you're high in water, you hold on to your traumas. So you have to physically bust them out, or, they say emotion is undigested disease.
mhm.
So yoga therapy. You
That's
need to
awesome.
you need to take that program.
I want to learn. I would love to do the yoga therapy program.
Oh gosh, it's along everything you're doing. It's like amazing. You'd love it.
Yeah, you'll have to share the details and all the things.
Yeah. I appreciate, Jessica, how trauma sensitive you are. And it's something that not everybody is sensitive to. And so that someone like me, when I was filling out the trauma questionnaire, was like, ooh, this is something I need to be mindful of in myself. And I think I'm more aware, because of that in other people. But I appreciate that so much. And I feel like Christy, when you talked about being in survival mode, it's like you become hyper independent or something. And you just know, like, I can rely on myself, maybe. And I do feel that a lot of what we're doing is like breaking those cycles of, what we've experienced. Like my kids, I will, never let them go through certain things anymore. It's like almost a little bit, I mean, not helicopter parent, but just very aware of like what I went through and never wanting them to go through. And so now I think my little girl's like, okay, make sure that not only are they not going through it, but that you're also really bringing out that inner child light and love in them so it never gets lost or something. So, yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful. I love that
I
you
always
guys are able to connect with a lot of what you're sharing. Like it's beautiful. Sorry, go
well,
ahead, Christy.
I was just going to say one thing is doing the work in the present right now for us being this age helps me really understand the little ones and how can we help them move this, because we didn't have this way to do it. How can we help them move their stuff, because they're going to have stuff, everybody does. So how can we help them move their stuff in their stage that they're in at the moment? So isn't that beautiful that we can use what we're learning later in life, and 50 years later? And then when they're the little ones, they're having stuff because they're going to come to you. Mom, I wish you did this. Dad, I wish you did this. You weren't here. You weren't there. They're going to have their stuff. But just to help them in their spot right now, and our students as well, move the energy so it doesn't get stuck in them. And they just have the tools. It's just the tools. So I think it's like a beautiful thing.
Amen to that. We're very fortunate for sure to be so self-aware and having that gift. Yes, I want to do that thing and won't let me do it. I need to get the upgrade or whatever it is. New
No,
version.
I don't even have that. I must be something in your options or something. I'm gonna find out because
Yeah, we need to find out so we can all give each other hearts.
I said maybe it's in the settings video. I don't know how I even found it, but I'm gonna find out so I can tell, because I've had a few people ask me, how are you doing that? I'm like, I have no idea. So, but
So,
yeah, feel the love.
all right, so as we're getting ready to end, we're gonna do some shaking. So let's stand up and I'll guide you guys. So we'll kind of just start from the top all the way down to the feet. So we'll move our hands, shake anything out up here. Shake out those arms really good. Maybe bring in the legs in here. Just shake out your right leg, your left leg. I know we look silly. Let it all go. Let it all go. Shake it out. Maybe jump around, shake it out. Take a deep breath in. Nice deep breath in. Deep breath out. Shake out those hands again. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Take a nice deep inhale. And an exhale. One more big inhale. And exhale. Okay. And go back to our spots. Ah. And I just wanted to say too, real quick, Katie, thank you for sharing about the trauma sensitive piece because I did my NLP training with Reese Evans. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she created the Yes Supply method. And I've been working with her for like many years and she's phenomenal, but she just added like a whole new piece of training for trauma sensitive. And it's actually something that I was kind of already doing with my Reiki practice, but she really helped me to bring more of that to awareness because I know so many of my clients are experiencing trauma and I wanted to just be able to give that to, that space for them to really work through it. And I think it's important, especially as healers, like we should be, trauma sensitive, having a business. So if you're interested in learning about her program, let me know because I am an affiliate, but she does NLP training. She does life and success mentoring, which I also am certified in. Also certified in hypnosis, EFT tapping, and I do my time techniques, which is all like the techniques that I was talking about, like with mindset. And I do also coaching with it. So it's like a whole certification program I did. And it's really been so empowering just to really learn about communication, about working with people, because NLP is not just about mindset, it's about building rapport. It's about connecting with your clients, knowing how to communicate. And I think these are really powerful skills to have as leaders, is having those ability to understand how to work with people, how to build connections, how to learn the language of how we all speak and how we connect together. So there's just really a lot of beautiful things in that program that I learned. So just wanted to say thank you for sharing that.
We got a little bit of trauma sensitivity last year when I was with a yoga teacher training program. Just a taste of it. And it was so impactful because of my own experiences with trauma and my own realization of my trauma, which has also, it's come later, through my journey. And just how much support people really need when they're processing those traumas. And so terminology and things like that and how important they are. So me wanting to also be sensitive, I do feel that there's a need to have that awareness and understanding for myself, with myself and with others as well. So definitely interested in learning more. And the EFT tapping has been powerful, a very powerful tool. I'll just start random, I don't do the whole process, but if I'm feeling it, I'll just start tap my crown and just kind of tap a little bit until I feel settled, even without doing all the talking through. But just the way that it's been affecting the subconscious and really being able to move through these blocks that I've had. So really applying everything I'm learning and appreciative.
Well, I'm celebrating you. That's amazing. I'm so glad it's helpful. And yeah, I mean, just use the tools, and I love that you're following your intuition, just allowing yourself. It's a very intuitive practice if you allow it. Just moving the energy, just the tapping is very somatic, so there's a lot of really good benefits. So Thank you for trying and going through it. It's awesome. So awesome to hear that you're experiencing, a lot of release with that. All right, ladies. Christy, is there anything you want to say before we wrap up?
No, but I did notice like the NLP and stuff like that, just the difference. I just was wondering where you got it from, like where you learned that, because I'm interested, because that's like a piece that is so needed, because nobody's exempt from traumas,
Hmm.
and it's just learning how to listen and hold the space, and just you're not going to take the trauma away, but there is a way to hold that space, which is so powerful, and just allowing that person to process it, because it never was processed in the moment. It's always later. So, I mean, yeah, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, I'll definitely share with you. And yeah, I think we're all on that same page of just holding the space and knowing, being open to it, and knowing when because I do believe there's a space where we need to refer, so if there's a situation where we can't handle that, like we need to, that's why the questionnaire, having that awareness is important when working with clients, is like, do I need to refer them? Is this something that I can handle? And that's okay. Like we can hold, or working with a professional at the same time, knowing that as a coach and then as a healer that we can work with a therapist to support them. So it's, there's a lot that we can work with, just being more aware. So I love you, ladies.
Thank you. Here, I'll do it for us. I'll find out. I'm gonna Google it. How do we send the hearts on Zoom?
Yes, put it in the Facebook group.
I will. I'll find out. And I love what you said, Christy, about holding the space for the processes to happen. I think that is just powerful. It's so it's powerful medicine. It really is. So I just appreciate you both. I wish Taya was here. She seems so sweet. I really hope that she can join us for the next one, and we will send her lots and lots of love.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Make sure you ladies go. I'm going to put in the portal the Claire's. There's a
Oh.
journaling sheet there too. So you guys can journal on that. And then let's try to, be consistent with our rituals. Like if I love that you did your self pleasure practice, Katie. So celebrating you on that. So those little things, really do shift our energy and how we feel. And I'm celebrating you ladies for showing up and doing the work. And yeah, I'm just so excited for you guys. So thank you for entrusting me and for allowing me to be part of this process. It's really an honor and a gift. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica and Christy.
Thank you very much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Love you.
Have a beautiful week. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
You too. Happy St. Patrick's Day.